It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories in 90 seconds.
It is with a very, very heavy heart that I announce one of our officers has succumbed to his injuries.
A deadly day at the U.S. Capitol. One police officer is killed and another injured after a vehicle crashes into a barricade. Colorado opens up vaccinations to everyone over 16 as the state lifts its mask mandate in more than 30 counties.
I mean, the folks who haven't been able to come to a bar are the folks who have been most impacted. Frontline workers, teachers, folks who have had other health concerns.
Now that all adults can get the shot, some businesses are already making changes.
So we are going to ask for both ID, vaccine card. I guess what I would tell other folks who don't agree is they have many, many other options for getting a drink.
Hear about the bar that's asking for proof of age and proof of vaccination.
When this need emerged, people stepped in, man. We've been extraordinarily blessed by some folks in this congregation who just have some real gifts and abilities.
Churches are also adapting to these trying times, how they're using technology to rebound from the pandemic and reach new generations. Thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter. We start off with the deadly day in Washington. Here is a live look at the U.S. Capitol, where a Capitol police officer was killed when a man drove into a security checkpoint. Meanwhile, authorities are trying to figure out what motivated the attack. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has the latest.
It was a horrific scene for Capitol Police. Here behind me is where police say a man rammed his car into a barrier. The building was on lockdown for several hours as authorities responded to the incident. At the nation's capital, a solemn night. A Capitol police officer is dead and another hurt after authorities say a man drove his car into a security checkpoint.
The suspect rammed his car into two of our officers and then hit the north barricade barrier. At such time, the suspect exited the vehicle with a knife in hand.
Police say the suspect lunged toward officers before he was fatally shot. Law enforcement sources identifying the man as 25-year-old Noah Green.
It does not appear that he is known to the Capitol Police or the Metropolitan Police Department at this time.
The two injured officers rushed to the hospital. One is in stable condition. But the officer, William Billy Evans, did not survive. He'd served 18 years in the force. A procession of police cars and motorcycles taking his body to the city medical examiner.
I just ask that the public continue to keep U.S. Capitol Police and their families in your prayers.
Flags at half-staff at the White House. President Biden, who's at Camp David, said in a statement he's heartbroken for the officer's family. Inside the Capitol today, this alarm sending the building into lockdown.
No entry or exit is permitted at this time in any building of the Capitol complex.
A stark reminder of the scene on January 6th, when a violent insurrection left 5 people dead, including a Capitol police officer. With Congress in recess, most lawmakers were not in the building today, but many staff members were.
This rips the scab off and continues to provide a level of uncertainty and worry about the workplace.
Now, D.C. National Guard deployed an immediate response force here to support the Capitol Police. Security here at the Capitol has been scaled back in recent weeks, including the removal of some of that fencing. But there are still more than 2,000 National Guard members stationed here in the city, which once again finds itself on edge. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Elizabeth, thank you. Another big step towards ending the pandemic. Today, Colorado expanded eligibility for vaccines. All adults over the age of 16 are now able to sign up and get the shot. And you'll need more than your ID to get inside one Denver bar. It's welcoming back customers tonight, but only those who have the vaccine and can show the card proving it. Liz Gilardi explains what went into this decision.
We are Cocktails and Conversation on Colfax.
Marshall Smith has always thought of his bar as an oasis. Bar Max is a relaxing spot to grab a drink, but more than anything, he wants it to be safe.
So we are going to ask for both ID, vaccine card.
Only vaccinated customers will be allowed inside. Customers still waiting for their vaccine can sit on the patio. Marshall says it's about keeping everyone safe, not only at the bar. He's also a professor, so he's constantly around students and visits his elderly parents.
I suppose I made the decision because it seemed like the right thing to do.
For some people, it's been more than a year since they've been able to sit at a bar. The owner hopes his decision will give people peace of mind.
I mean, the folks who haven't been able to come to a bar are the folks who have been most impacted. Frontline workers, teachers, folks who have had other health concerns. And if we are able to give them a place where they can finally go out.
Social distancing can be a challenge in a small space like Bar Max. The capacity was capped at 44 people, and that was before COVID-19.
We have not had indoor seating essentially since the beginning of the pandemic.
They can't wait to welcome customers back. The bar is reopening on the same day vaccines were made available to the general public age 16 and up in Colorado.
That's our hope. It's our hope that people are going to continue to be vaccinated, and now that it's open to the public, there's no reason not to.
But Marshall knows some people might not agree with his decision, and he's okay with that.
I guess what I would tell other folks who don't agree is they have many, many other options for getting a drink.
But if you've been vaccinated, there's a drink waiting for you. Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Starting tomorrow, Colorado's mask mandate will be lifted in some counties. Under the new rules, you don't have to wear a mask in most indoor spaces if you live in one of the 31 counties with the lowest rates of COVID transmission. Those are highlighted on this map. They represent about 4% of the state's population. The biggest counties, including all of the ones in the Denver metro, remain under a full mask mandate. The CDC says fully vaccinated people are at low risk of contracting coronavirus while traveling. Those passengers should continue to wear their masks and take precautions, but don't need to be tested before flying in the U.S. DIA believes 4.3 million people could pass through its gates in April. That would be down from about 20% from 2019. Denver7 is committed to helping you find answers as you try to schedule an appointment for yourself or someone you love. We put together a guide in English and Spanish that is available right now on thedenverchannel.com. 3 men have robbed 10 Colorado banks since New Year's Day, and tonight the FBI is asking for help finding them. These are the only photos we have of the suspects. The FBI says the men storm into the banks with guns and take over the buildings, holding employees and customers at gunpoint. There is a $12,000 reward available for anyone who turns these 3 in. A 14-year-old boy accused of shooting and killing a Denver woman in February is the subject of at least 6 criminal cases across 3 counties. Now the Denver DA's office says it's trying to charge him as an adult. Denver7's Lance Hernandez spoke with the victim's family about the case.
It just breaks my heart to know that she was a victim of such a horrific crime.
Pam Cabrialis was on her way home from dinner when she was confronted by 3 teenagers on the West Colfax Viaduct. Police say one of the teens apparently shot her several times with an AR-15.
It was an act of just straight evil. You know, I know I keep saying it, but I just cannot, get it past me that he blew the whole top of her head off.
Alex Cabrialis says he and his mom were in the hospital when Pam was taken off life support. The victim's family asking for justice.
If he was old enough to pull the trigger, he should be old enough to do the time.
The driver of the car, 18-year-old Nishan Johnson, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of attempted assault, and vehicular eluding. The 14-year-old has been charged in juvenile court with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of attempted assault, and 2 counts of being an aggravated juvenile.
My fear is, the backdoor deals that happen between the district attorney and the judges.
Alex says he's learned a bit about the juvenile's background, that he has charges of motor vehicle theft, possession of a firearm, and aggravated robbery pending in other counties. He wants the 14-year-old to spend adult time behind bars, not just get out in a few years. but he worries the law is tilted too much toward juveniles.
Lance Hernandez, Denver7.
The family of Trelana Bartkalviak gathered for a celebration of her life today. Lana, as friends called her, is one of the 10 people killed during last week's mass shooting in Boulder. Friends described her as a good friend and a laughing soul.
But truly, it won't ever make sense. And really, life to its core doesn't make sense. It's taught me that to be like Lana, it's better to make joy in the world than to try to make sense of it. And it's something she did with effortless ease. She brought so much joy into this world.
The Colorado Healing Fund continues to accept donations for the victims. They've raised more than $2 million. A separate GoFundMe for Lana's family has raised nearly $50,000. Colorado is making sure small towns get the vaccine, and that has some residents hitting the road.
I probably would have driven about 30 minutes max, maybe an hour possibly. I just feel like the opportunity is available, take advantage of it.
Why some Coloradans are going the distance just to get a dose.
Can well-done artwork lead to better laws in our state? The connection between paintings and politics from the state capitol coming up.